Behind every successful woman is a brain that probably runs about 1,000,000 miles an hour and thinks too much about way too many things. And if this is you, I am willing to bet that you are probably also an overthinker when it comes to dating and relationships. And if you are single, that is the main reason why dating sucks for you right now. So, we are going to talk today about how to stop overthinking in dating and relationships. Welcome to Christianish. My name is Keshia Rice. I am a dating coach and hypnotherapist. And this is the podcast for women who have Bibles but don't necessarily have boundaries. And as part of that, again, we're talking about overthinking and dating. And I completely understand why you might be overthinking because it is hard out here, right? It is hard to be out here pursuing your dreams and your ambitions, to try to heal from your past, to want to live according to your values and your faith. And then at the same time, to also try to find companionship with someone who's also living according to his values and who is aligned with where you're going in life and that you're also actually attracted to, right? So, I am also guilty of overthinking. And this is not something that I think you ever truly 100% heal from. And I don't mean that in a negative way. But if you already have this tendency to overthink things, which again, a lot of ambitious women have that tendency, this is something that was ingrained in you, likely at an early age, whether that was, maybe your parents weren't around as much as they should have been, and you had to do a lot of thinking to protect yourself. Maybe you grew up being a people pleaser, so you're always constantly thinking of ways to not be too much to other people, to make other people happy. Whatever the reasons are, it becomes something that you get so used to that even once you start doing the healing work, you can sometimes find yourself falling back into these tendencies. And I'm telling you this because I don't want you to think, especially if you are an overthinker and an overachiever, I don't want you to think that if you don't get this right the first time or out the gate, that you failed, right? This is something that takes practice and continually takes being intentional about. But we are going to talk about a few ways that you can honor God, honor yourself, and honor your desire for real love without overthinking. So one is having this trust that God is the author of your life. And once you truly believe that, there's something so freeing about that belief because you no longer have to feel like the weight of the world, the pressure of everything is on you. I truly do not think that any of us are powerful enough to ruin the plans that God has for us. Now, yes, I do think that sometimes our own self-sabotage can delay those plans, cause them to be pushed out a little bit further and cause us to have to wait a little bit longer. But I don't think that we can ever actually ruin them. There's a passage in Psalm 139 that talks about how our days were written before we even came on this earth. And I think being able to surrender to that and understand that, yes, it's important for us to move with intention. And yes, it is It is a beautiful thing for us to have dreams and goals and for us to actively pursue them. At the same time, again, we can't mess up the plans for our life that God has already put in place. The second thing that I want you to really know and embody is this idea that while your feelings do matter, and you should honor your feelings and you should honor your emotions, if you've been listening to me long enough, you know that I am very big on honoring our emotions. Our feelings still aren't facts, right? And oftentimes, one of the biggest mistakes that I see my clients make in dating is replaying these really insignificant moments over and over in their head. They replay every single conversation they had with a man. They replay it with themselves. They replay it with their friends. They replay it with me, sometimes over the course of multiple calls, right? And they want an analysis of everything, of the words in the conversation, the tone of voice, the emojis that were used in the text messages. And it leads to this spiraling over things that, I don't mean to sound harsh, but I guarantee you that man is not thinking that much about you. Even if he really likes you, even if he sees a future with you, even if he thinks that you're the greatest thing since sliced bread and he wants to marry you tomorrow, I guarantee you he's not thinking that hard. And if you find yourself doing that, spiraling and overthinking and replaying everything over and over again, I want you to just ask yourself, am I reacting to reality or to my anxiety? Because, again, if you listen to this podcast, you will have heard me say over and over and over again that my favorite Bible verse is, God has not given us the spirit of fear, but of power and of love and of a sound mind. Emphasis on a sound mind. So, yes, it is okay to feel nervous. It's okay to feel uncertain, to feel a little unstable. And you should honor those feelings for a few moments, not forever. You can allow those feelings to have an audience with you and you can hear them out. But then after that, they have to be pushed to the side. Those feelings cannot become the narrator of your life story. I also need you to realize that your worth does not rise and fall on the response of one man. You are already chosen. You are already loved. You are already fearfully and wonderfully made, regardless of whether that man texts you back in 3 minutes or in 3 days. And knowing that you are loved, knowing that you are fearfully and wonderfully made, it is important that you have to date from security and not from desperation. I want you to wake up every day and remind yourself of who you are and whose you are, right? And know that your worth is rooted in that. It is not rooted in someone else's attention or availability or affection, especially not a man who's not treating you well. Because this is another thing that I see too often with my clients or even with friends of mine who are single, right? Is that women who are treated well by a man, by the man in their life, by their romantic partner, they aren't spending all their time overthinking this, right? My grandmother used to always say to me that God is not the author of confusion. So I don't spend a lot of time confused or thinking about what my husband thinks about me, how he feels about me, because I know he loves me. I know he loves me because he shows me that he loves me. I know he loves me because he puts forth effort, right? So I don't really have to think about that. When you find yourself constantly thinking about, does this man like me? Is he interested? Is he willing to commit? it's usually a sign that the answer is no. Because someone who truly wants you and someone who is healthy masculine and wants to lead, he's going to make an effort. He's going to put forth effort. He's going to put in the work so that you don't have to constantly be wondering. And that kind of brings me to my last point, which is that clarity comes through action, not analysis. So, one of the reasons why you're struggling with dating is because you keep trying to do all of this in your head instead of getting out there. Dating well, like dating in a way that will allow you to be successful to find your purpose partner, it means being present in the moment. And it means also being open to getting it wrong sometimes. It means being open to making mistakes and learning as you go, because that's the only way you learn, as you go, not as you overthink. So, oftentimes we're waiting on God to move, and he's looking at us, waiting for us to move, because that's how God often brings clarity, through movement. So you need to just go on the date. If you're not getting a lot of dates right now, then you need to just go ahead and get a dating app profile. Go ahead and get a matchmaker. Go ahead and sign up for new activities and new hobbies. But you need to do something. You need to take action. You need to go ahead and ask honest questions. You need to go ahead and set boundaries and see how people respond. You need to go ahead and say how you feel. Because even if that doesn't lead to the one, even if you set a boundary and that man leaves, well, one, it means that he wasn't the one. And two, what it will lead to is healing and growth. And it will lead to wisdom for whatever your next step should be. And then the last thing that I want you to do is to invite community. You aren't meant to navigate dating alone. God puts relationships in our life for a reason. So if you are really intentional about finding your purpose partner, then this is where you need to find friends who are aligned and who you can trust to hold you accountable, and not just friends that you vent to. This is where you need to find mentors. This is where you need to consider therapy or working with a coach like me, right? But you need people who can help you process what you're thinking and what you're feeling. And being able to talk this out and to truly process it, again, process, not just vent, this can better allow you to get your emotions out and also to really hear from God, because sometimes God speaks directly to us. Sometimes he uses community to do that. So overthinking in dating is a real thing, but it doesn't have to run your life, and it doesn't have to ruin the experience of dating. When you learn how to root yourself in God's love, to root yourself in who you are, and to release control of the outcome and stay grounded in knowing that what's meant for you is going to come to you, you can date with peace, right? And not panic. You can date with grace and not pressure. So I want to remind you that you are doing better than you think. And also that you are allowed to have some missteps along the way. Those missteps are still steps, right? They're still going to help you get to the life and the relationship that you want to have. So you've got this. God's got you. God's got your heart. But also you've got this. So let me know what you are going to do to stop overthinking. And also, if you are looking for some community and some help, in navigating this process, I am definitely here for you. You can schedule a call with me and we can talk about what it would look like to work together one-on-one in my coaching program, which is called From Toxic to Thriving. And in the meantime, again, you've got this, and I love you so much. Bye.
This podcast is brought to you by Contessa Digital.